He was 14 when he forged his mother's signature, 15 when he stowed away on a warship, 17 when 2 grenades landed at his feet. Jack Lucas had 3 seconds to live. What he did next made him the youngest Marine to ever receive the Medal of Honor. February 14th, 1928, Plymouth, North Carolina. Jacqueline Harold Lucas was born into a world that would soon be torn apart by war. Jack was always big for his age. 5'8", 180 pounds by age 13. He looked older than he was. And that would change everything. December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor. 13-year-old Jack Lucas heard the news on the radio. Japanese bombers had attacked the United States Navy. Over 2,400 Americans were dead. Jack later described the moment. That very day, a cold chill ran down my spine. I just became obsessed. I had to do something. For most 13-year-old boys, doing something meant scrap drives and air raid drills. Jack Lucas had bigger plans. On August 6, 1942, 14-year-old Jack walked into a Marine Corps recruiting station in Norfolk, Virginia. He had forged his mother's signature on a consent form. He told him he was 17. The recruiter looked at this huge kid standing in front of him. He believed him. Jack Lucas was now a United States Marine. Boot camp at Parris Island was brutal, but Jack loved it. He finished training and was sent to the Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida. Then, in 1943, he was assigned to Camp Leisho in North Carolina, where he qualified as a heavy machine gun crewman. Everything was going according to plan, until military censors intercepted a letter. Jack had written to his 15-year-old girlfriend back home. The censors did the math. If his girlfriend was 15 and Jack was supposedly 17, something didn't add up. The Marines discovered Jack's real age. He was only 15 years old. Most commanders would have discharged him immediately. But the Marine Corps decided to keep him. They just wouldn't let him go to combat. In late 1943, Jack was transferred to Hawaii. He was assigned to the 6th Base Depot of the 5th Amphibious Corps. His new job? Driving trucks? Jack was furious. He joined the Marines to fight, not to haul supplies in the rear. He tried everything to get to the front lines. He requested transfers, volunteered for combat units. Every request was denied. So Jack took matters into his own hands. On January 10th, 1945, Jack went UA unauthorized absence. He packed his gear, left his base, and made his way to Pearl Harbor. There, he found a transport ship preparing to leave. USS Duel. It was carrying the 1st Battalion, 26 Marines, 5th Marine Division. Their destination was classified, but Jack knew where they were going. Combat. Jack climbed aboard and hid. For 29 days, he stayed hidden. He slept on the weather deck. He hid in landing craft during inspections. His cousin, Samuel Oliver Lucas, was aboard the ship. Samuel helped Jack stay hidden and fed. On February 8th, 1945, one day before he'd be declared a deserter, Jack turned himself in. He walked up to Captain Robert Dunlap, commander of Company C. Dunlap took Jack to the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Pollock. Pollock looked at this kid. This massive, determined, insubordinate kid who'd stowed away on a warship just to get into combat. And Pollock said something Jack would never forget. "I'd like to have a whole shipload of fellows that want to fight as bad as you." Pollock reduced Jack to private, but he assigned him to Company C as a rifleman. Jack Lucas was going to war. February 14th, 1945. Jack turned 17 years old in the hold of USS Duel. There was no party, no cake. Just the sound of diesel engines and the nervous breathing of hundreds of Marines. 5 days later, they learned their destination: Iwo Jima. February 19th, 1945. D-Day for Iwo Jima. Jack Lucas climbed down a cargo net into a Higgins boat. The boat circled in the water with dozens of others, waiting for the signal to hit the beach. Jack looked around at the other Marines. Veterans, hardened fighters. And Jack, who'd never fired a shot in combat. The ramp dropped. Hell opened up. Japanese machine guns, mortars, and artillery tore into the landing craft. Marines fell before they even reached the sand. Jack charged off the ramp. Bullets snapped through the air. Explosions erupted in the black volcanic sand. Jack grabbed a rifle from a dead Marine in the surf. He racked the slide and kept moving. He reached the relative safety of a crater and joined a four-man fire team. Together, they pushed inland. February 20th, 1945. Jack's second day on Iwo Jima. 6 days after his 17th birthday. Jack and his fire team were moving toward an airstrip. They spotted a Japanese gun emplacement ahead. They took cover in a trench. Nearby were 11 Japanese soldiers. The Marines opened fire. The Japanese returned fire and then threw 2 grenades into the trench. Jack was clearing a jam in his rifle. He was the only one who saw the grenades land. They were right in his feet. 2 grenades, 4 seconds to detonation. 3 other Marines in the trench. Jack had one thought. Save them. He yelled, "Grenade!" and threw himself on top of the first grenade. Then he reached out with his left hand and pulled the second grenade underneath his body. He pushed it as far into the volcanic sand as he could and waited. The first grenade exploded. The blast tore through Jack's body. Over 250 pieces of shrapnel ripped into his chest, arms, face, and legs. The second grenade never exploded. Miraculously, it was a dud. The 3 other Marines were unhurt. They looked at Jack. His body was torn apart, blood everywhere. They thought he was dead. They continued the assault. A few minutes later, another Marine unit came through. They found Jack lying in the trench. A corpsman checked for a pulse. Nothing. He reached for Jack's dog tags to mark him Kier, and Jack's finger twitched. He was alive. The corpsman called for stretcher bearers as they carried Jack out. A Japanese soldier appeared and threw another grenade. The corpsman shot him with his .45 pistol. They kept moving. Jack was taken to the beach. He waited until nightfall for evacuation. Then he was transferred to the hospital ship USS Samaritan. The ship's surgeon looked at Jack's wounds and shook his head. He's too damn young and too damn tough to die. Jack underwent the first of 26 surgeries. Doctors removed shrapnel from every major organ. His chest, his lungs, his liver. Over 200 pieces of metal were taken out. But another 50 pieces were too deep to remove. Jack would carry them for the rest of his life. 7 months later, Jack Lucas had made a complete recovery. October 5th, 1945. The White House, Washington, D.C. President Harry S. Truman stood on the South Lawn, surrounded by 27 servicemen. All Medal of Honor recipients from the Battle of Iwo Jima. One by one, Truman called them forward. When it was Jack's turn, he walked up to the President of the United States. 17 years old, Truman placed the Medal of Honor around Jack's neck. Then he shook his hand and said, "I'd rather have this medal than be president." Jack looked at him and grinned. "Sir, I'll swap with you." Jack Lucas became the youngest Marine to ever receive the Medal of Honor, and the youngest recipient across all services. Since the Civil War. After the ceremony, there were parades. First in Washington, then in New York. Jack rode in an open car. Women threw kisses at him. Some ran between the barricades to hug him. Jack later recalled, "I was 17 years old and I had a hell of a time." But Jack had made a promise to his mother. He would finish school. In the fall of 1945, Jack walked into his first day of 9th grade, wearing his Medal of Honor around his neck. He finished high school, then attended High Point University in North Carolina, graduating with a business degree in 1956. Jack married 3 times, had 4 sons and a daughter. One of his sons became a West Point graduate. Jack ran a successful beef business near Washington, D.C. He went on speaking tours for the USO. He met every president from Truman to Clinton. In 1997, when the keel was laid for the amphibious assault ship USS Iwo Jima, Jack placed his Medal of Honor citation inside the hull. It's still sealed there today. In 2006, Jack wrote his autobiography. He called it Indestructible. On June 5, 2008, Jack Lucas died of leukemia in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He was 80 years old. In 2016, the U.S. Navy announced that an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer would be named in his honor. USS Jack H. Lucas was commissioned on October 7, 2023. The ship's motto is indestructible. This is what heroism looks like. Not the kind that waits for permission, but the kind that forges ahead no matter what. Jack Lucas was 14 when he lied his way into the Marines, 15 when he stowed away to get to combat, 17 when he threw himself on 2 grenades. He saved 3 Marines that day. At an age when most kids are worried about homework and high school dances, Jack Lucas was earning the Medal of Honor. He always said he wasn't a hero. That the real heroes were the ones who didn't come home. But Jack Lucas was wrong about that. Because heroism isn't just about dying. It's about being willing to die so others can live. And Jack Lucas proved that on a volcanic island when he was just 6 days past his 17th birthday. If you want to hear more stories of forgotten American heroes, hit subscribe. These men deserve to be remembered.